Hello and welcome back to Mr. Powers Teaches Trig. And we've gone over the unit circle definition of these trig functions, but I didn't focus on some of these weird values that we don't have in a right triangle. And those values are the angle measures we don't take trig values of are 0 for sure, 90, don't have a 90. Of course, anything larger than that, but specifically, let's say we could keep going by degrees of 90 degrees at a time. So 0, 90, 180, 270, 360. Those are very important values to see. Or we could say 0, pi over 2, 2 pi over 2, 3 pi over 2, 2 pi, 4 pi over 2. Okay. So without further ado, let's take a look at that. Here's sine. All right. So what is sine of 0 degrees? So as we could see already, if we're on the unit circle, since sine is opposite over hypotenuse, and we're looking at this here for our reference angle, the opposite is the triangle we create on the unit circle. The opposite side is our y value that we end up being on the unit circle. That does end up being the sine. It's our opposite over hypotenuse. Hypotenuse is always positive 1. So what happens to that as we're getting closer and closer and closer to 0 degrees? That opposite side length on that triangle becomes closer and closer to 0. And so that's what we do. So imagine, you know what, at 0 degrees, that opposite side is 0. So I get 0 over 1. What's 0 over 1? It's 0. And I'm not getting exactly 0 here, but trust me, it's 0. So sine of 0 is 0. And so anyway, cosine, no, let's stick with sine. So sine of 90, same thing's happening. That opposite side is getting larger and larger, but it's getting closer and closer to 1. It's getting closer and closer to whatever my hypotenuse is. So those are going to be the same at 90 degrees, or pi over 2. So you get 1. Opposite and hypotenuse are the same. So the ratio of those are 1. Or in this case, the unit circle, it's 1 over 1. And then we're going to 180 degrees, or pi. That opposite side again is approaching 0. So it's going to be 0 again. 0 over 1 is 0. And then as we're going 270 degrees, or 3 pi over 2, that opposite side approaching, this time, negative 1. Our y value is negative. And it's not popping up here. It's still giving us, let's see here. Oh. So our values here get moved around. Okay. So it's they get down here in our little demonstration, they're getting switched. But this is our negative, our y value right now, 0.9372. But it is negative. And we imagine that. We're getting this negative value here. It's getting closer and closer to negative 1. So it's negative 1 over 1, which is negative 1. And then keep going. And of course, we're ending up back here. So sine of 360, or 2 pi, is 0. And then you can use the same kind of thinking with cosine. Cosine of 0. So what's happening to the adjacent side? It's the one approaching 1 now as we're getting closer and closer to 0. So 1 over 1 is 1. So cosine of 0 is 1. And as we're getting closer to pi over 2, that side, the adjacent side, is approaching 0. And then the hypotenuse is still 1. So we imagine, hey, that's 0 over 1. Cosine of pi over 2 is 0. And so now we can easily see and figure out what those values are. We just imagine these triangles as we shift these points on the unit circle down. So cosine of pi is going to be -1, because again, this value here is approaching -1. It's getting closer and closer to -1. That would be my x value here on the triangle. And then 270 degrees. Again, my adjacent side's getting smaller and smaller, going to 0, so 0 over 1, and then back to where we started. And one more thing to mention, tangent doesn't change. Tangent's always sine over cosine. So tangent of 0 is going to be 0 over 1. Sine over, that's 0. But what happens at, say, pi over 2? Sine over cosine, well, now it's 1 over 0. And in this demonstration here we have, it's giving us some huge number that's ridiculous. It doesn't know what to do with it, right? We know we cannot divide by 0. So tangent of pi over 2 is undefined. But we can tell here, actually, that the closer and closer we get to that value, and that's kind of what it's doing, it's snapping to that point. But as we're getting closer and closer, our opposite side, because we can also think of it opposite over adjacent. Opposite side is getting closer to 1. Our adjacent side is getting closer to 0. So we're getting closer and closer. As we get closer to pi over 2, we're getting closer to our tangent is approaching infinity. That's what I'm trying to say. Tangent's approaching infinity. But at some point, it's just not undefined right there, right? Close to it, it's infinity. Here, we'll be able to see it a little bit better. Let me see how close I can get. Negative infinity. Because here, oh, not snap in there too. But there you go. That's your basic idea. So that's what I wanted to show you guys, just to touch those really weird values. Until next time, enjoy doing math.